have relinquished my power. It was too great.
We're back to talk about arguably what we're going to have a much more to say on. So the story and characters. And I think what I want to do before we get into like proper plot and stuff like that is I want to touch on the cultural impact that this...
He's feeling superior because he's taller than us at the moment.
Nah, I'll throw off the camera if I do that.
I want to talk about the cultural impact that Castle in the Sky had and some of the stuff that it's inspired. So a lot of people kind of view it as one of the kind of landmark pieces of like steam power in terms of animation and movies, right? Like a lot... somebody called it, I was looking it up, somebody called it a modern day monomyth for Japanese genre films and anime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The meet someone, goes, finds a mysterious, unknown civilization, and leave with the civilization going away forever to be discussed, or where they learn an important lesson as it goes. Yeah.
So, in terms of animation and comics, this movie actually directly led to a huge wave of steampunk anime and manga in the 80s and 90s. So you had things like Nadia, Secret of the Blue Water. You had Steam Boy, some of Miyazaki's own films like Porco Rosso and Howl's Moving Castle. Fullmetal Alchemist, the author says, draws a lot of inspiration from here. Elemental Gelade. Like, I watched Elemental Gelade when I was younger. And the author has said that this was a source of inspiration, at least aesthetically.
Oh, have you guys seen any of the new footage? Speaking of Fullmetal Alchemist, have you guys seen any of the new footage from the new FMA movie?
I haven't. I heard it was bad, though.
Oh, dude. You guys want to see some cosplayers running around in in front of a green screen? Dude. No green screens in this movie, let me tell you that.
So
Thank God.
We discussed the fact that Atlantis the Lost Empire is very similar to this. A lot of people online have compared WALL-E and Atlantis to this movie.
WALL-E?
I don't really get that one.
WALL-E, really? The Pixar film.
Look,
that one's lost on me. Honestly, yeah, that one's a bit lost on me.
That one I didn't get, and then it also has influences in video games like Final Fantasy.
That I can see.
Sakura Wars, Steel Empire.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is just this story done in a video game.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Shares some inspiration here.
Maybe that one level from Twilight Princess. You guys know what I'm talking about. The Wind Temple.
Well,
maybe that and possibly a bit of Skyward Sword, but Breath of the Wild, I don't know. That one's
maybe aesthetically?
Not even aesthetically.
Like for the Titan? Or not the Titan, like the Divine Beast?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but still,
I don't know,
that's
fam.
a bit of a stretch.
I don't know, fam. From an outsider's perspective, I can kind of see it.
I personally think it's a bit
at
of a
least
stretch.
Aesthetically, I can kind of see it.
Aesthetically, yeah, but saying that it was inspired by, I think it might be a little bit of a stretch.
I'm not saying that it was necessarily inspired by the story of. I'm saying that some of these works have taken inspiration, whether it be aesthetic or story, right? Because some works they just say we really like this aesthetic and we're going to work in this kind of within this like framework or incorporate these elements. And to be honest, I haven't played Zelda, but it does share some aesthetic similarities from what I've seen of it.
I don't discredit the possibility. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sold on that.
So the name Laputa actually comes from... It's a reference to Gulliver's Travels. And the floating island in Gulliver's Travels, which was called... oh God, I don't remember the name. I think it's similar to Laputa, though. Fun fact, the Spanish release and certain English releases of this do not include Laputa in the title because of its similarity to the phrase Laputa.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That'll do
then
it.
the version we watched, the Disney version, so they actually remove references to Gulliver's Travels in the Disney version. And so you can actually see the original Japanese title screen where it says Laputa, but they've written over it to just say Castle in the Sky. Like, we noticed that when we were watching it.
They still call it Laputa, though.
They still call it Laputa, yeah. But they removed the title at the beginning.
Yeah, it was just the title.
Yeah. And then I think there were some changes made to the movie when it was released into English. So in the Disney version, background chatter and one-liners were added to fill moments of silence in the original movie. Let's see. Dola's dialogue was changed slightly. Oh! Fun fact. I thought it was off. In the Japanese version, there is no romantic love interest between the members of Dola's crew and Cheetah. That was entirely added for the Disney version.
Creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was added into the English version. In the Japanese version, they see her as a mother or sister figure, and they make it very clear.
See, that's weird because I expected that more in the Japanese
No,
version
actually.
because Japanese media is really weird.
Yeah, no, actually, Disney did that.
I wonder who was in charge of Disney then.
I don't know. 1986?
No idea.
Wasn't that the guy before Eisner?
I don't know. That might have been Eisner.
I don't think it was Eisner.
Anyway.
Yeah, so, okay, getting into characters and story, right? So, the calling it a monomyth is really fucking accurate. This is the quintessential Japanese anime story.
Yeah.
Boy meets girl.
Girl is mysterious.
Adventure
Boy has
happens.
Yes. That's it. That's pretty much it.
But here's the big difference though. The boy and the girl have personalities. In most anime
true.
I've seen, their personality is distinctly lacking.
Yeah, here we actually have characters who you can, like, get behind, like, so we've got the two main characters, Shida and
Patsu.
Patsu. It's spelled Pazu, but everyone says Patsu with a T.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
We're just going with the pronunciation.
Yeah,
for right
Patsu
now.
Yeah.
is how they pronounce it then. And Patsu is working in this, like, mining town, right? And he's got this tragic backstory about his father and seeing
Oh,
Laputa.
I can actually explain why it's Pazu, but they pronounce it Patsu. Sorry, go ahead.
You gonna share with the rest of the class?
Tsu and Zu are the same. You can do it. So the way they did it was, you can go Zu two ways. There's doing Su
Or Tsu.
or Tsu,
T.S. or
and you can
S.
modify it the same way to get Zu. But if they're modified the original Japanese version, Tsu to get Zu.
So it's like a both and both kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, my Japanese classes kicked in for on delay.
Occasionally, they did leave some sort of a mark.
Moving on.
Couldn't
So
shower.
anyway, Shida and Patsu.
I mean, boy meet girl. Girl falls out of a moving airplane. Boy catches
Airship,
girl.
excuse you.
Airship. Boy catches girl. Girl is unexpectedly heavy. Physics, yay. Pirates are after her, but so is the government. Oh no. We must find this floating castle in the sky.
It's not a very meaty plot, but it makes up with it for fun characters and good
I think,
visuals, I think.
Yeah, and despite the fact that the allegory and the meaning in the movie are shoved down your throat, I think it's still done in a palatable way.
Oh yeah. It's not as bad as some other things that, like, I can't even remember the name of the comic I read, but the whole thing is a metaphor for how it was a metaphor for the evils of people who don't want mixed breeding between races or gay marriage, and it feels like somebody is just like has like this like is standing on their soapbox, and instead of yelling at you, they have like a written essay and they're just shoving it into your face. That's not what this movie is. No, it's pretty fucking painfully obvious though what their message is, but it's not shoved down your throat too hard. It's like, here, sample this bouquet that I have.
Being fair, you could say the same thing about something like Mononoke, but the thing is, it's executed very well there. Because Mononoke, I'm sure we'll eventually end up doing Mononoke, but Mononoke has literally the exact same moral and message as Ferngully, but it's just handled leagues better. Just in its nuance.
Yeah. Well, and Miyazaki's been pretty open about his inspirations, right?
He's open about a lot of things. Not a lot of things I agree with.
But, like, so he took a lot of inspiration from this movie from biblical and Hindu legends. And then a lot of aesthetic...
Which they reference in the movie, by the way.
Yes, and then a lot of aesthetic choices were heavily influenced by Mesopotamian, Babylonian, Egyptian, and Assyrian. As I pointed out when I noticed not only the fact that the writing in Laputa is cuneiform, first of all. It's written in cuneiform, although I do not know what language it is. It actually might just be Japanese translated into cuneiform, because sometimes movie writers do that. And cuneiform is an alphabet, not a language. And I had made the comment to both of you, I pulled the images up on screen, but honestly, the little sigil for Laputa looks very similar to the Minoan snake goddess figurines, which is the right area of the world and time period that he was drawing a lot of inspiration from for this. And then the mining town was based on the Welsh town that he visited. Although apparently he was criticized by because he made the Laputa, the technological advancement, too similar to the technologically advanced Laputa in Gulliver's Travels. Apparently he was criticized by some people for that. Made it too similar. But, I mean, in reality, you could interpret several different messages from this movie. I mean, I definitely noticed at least a few, and some allegories kind of thrown in that definitely weren't the main point. But, like, there's this beautiful moment at the end where it's just, like, about nature reclaiming, you know? And, I mean, that in my mind, that's the biggest one, like, the enduring... the everlasting kind of existence of nature and the fact that nature will always reclaim.
Well, like we were saying earlier, the symbolism of this film is not subtle at all. I mean, there's an entire... I mean, Nick Nack pointed out that the scene where the villain shows... the villain is getting all angry that the city's overgrown with plant life, and he's like, oh, I'll burn all these plants to the ground, and just Nick Nack just in the background, subtle.
Yeah, because
it's not subtle at all.
It was, he, like, walks into, like, the control room, and he's just like, what are all these roots doing here? Disgusting, filthy things.
Credit to Mark Hamill, though. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill makes a good villain.
He does. He really does.
Jinx.
Good for him, though. You know what? Good for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, if it made for an interesting character. I do think that maybe this is me having watched this movie too many times in my life, but I do think the whole Muska being also Laputian royalty.
It kind of comes in at the last minute. I feel like some stuff got cut out on the editing floor.
Yeah, like, I feel like, because then he's like, it's true what the legend says about the Black Stone, but we didn't hear anything about a legend.
Yeah.
Like, we missed a little bit of backstory there. Like, why is Muska after this thing that no one knows about? How does he know about it? Where, like, we hear a lot about where Sheeta's from, and the legends passed down in Gondora, where she's from.
I'm assuming, like, they wanted you to kind of think that the same thing happened with, like, Muska, is that, like, he grew up with these legends and things like that, like,
but
his
he
little
obviously
journal
didn't come
thing.
from the same place, which makes me curious about where he did come from, and I'm sorry, I'm just...
Yeah, Muska is not a very, very in-depth character or a very understandable villain. Like, I don't understand his motivations other than he wants to rule the world, essentially.
I was gonna say, he kind of reminds me of, the... Colonel Irina Spalkov from the 4th Indiana Jones movie.
You know,
What the fuck are you even talking about?
The Russian lady.
Colonel from the 4th Indiana Jones movie.
Did you ever see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Yeah.
The Russian lady!
Who the fuck are you... What?
I'm Colonel Irina Spalkov.
The girl who gets her face...
She was psychic?
Yeah.
Yeah! With
that
short
girl.
hair.
Why the hell do you remember that character's name?
Because I fucking love Indiana Jones, that's why, bitch!
You bitch about Indiana Jones every time we bring it up.
I know, it's amazing, I love it.
It's because we're Zoomers.
Fair enough.
No,
You go
it's
fuck yourself.
her name is Colonel Irena Spelkov.
Okay, like I said, I don't know why anyone should remember that detail.
I don't remember the name.
She's
That movie
literally
was
the
terrible.
main villain.
The movie was she?
Yes!
The movie was so terrible. You could have told me that the main villain of the fourth Indiana Jones movie was a big spider in a fuzzy hat, and I probably would have believed you. Because I try to, like, purge every thought I have of that movie from my mind.
But I am on the right track here, right? Muska reminds a little of Irena Spelkov.
Actually, I think the fourth Indiana Jones movie is just... If I think
It's
back,
very
it's kind
Laputa.
of derivative
It's
of Laputa.
just Laputa.
Find the old civilization.
There's a giant alien ship full of technology.
It's not literally Laputa,
but it is very similar.
but you do have some of that there.
It is incredibly similar.
I don't want to go off on that tangent too long. Though.
Yeah.
Just to...
Well, I mean, but
then
you
again,
can-
so
you
is
can
Atlantis in that same vein.
Yeah, exactly. You can say the same thing like you mentioned earlier. It's like Ferngully and, what was it, Princess Mononoke?
Yeah,
It's
no,
the
one
same
can do much
story.
better than the other.
Avatar, Princess Mononoke, Ferngully, Pocahontas. It's all the
Yeah,
same
but you're
story.
you're
It's
talking
just
about the
different
m-
execution.
But you're talking
Yeah.
about, like, the meaning and what's conveyed here. I mean that, like, fucking the fourth Indiana Jones movie and Atlantis: The Lost Empire are the same fucking movie as this.
No, they are not.
They are a
Not
little
fully.
They're
bit.
not.
A little bit.
Also,
No,
like,
they're not.
there are stories I've seen that are just Laputa.
True.
Those have derivative elements, I think. Not so much being just Laputa.
Agree to disagree. I think they're pretty damn similar.
No.
I am being continuously bullied. It's fine.
See, I enjoy this dynamic of having someone else to push back on something.
Oh, why am I always at the butt?
I mean, you're the one who chose to be the short.
You see, you were being way nicer. I was going to make a really mean joke about sucking farts.
I'll sick Peaches on your nuts.
Peaches likes me.
I met him.
Yeah.
Peaches seems to like me, too. She just likes to eat my sunglasses for some reason.
Anyway.
Speaking of eating, how about that food porn?
Oh my god, food porn.
Yeah, it just got me. I don't know, like, what is up with Miyazaki, but he is, like, food porn everywhere.
That man understands the animated aesthetic of foods.
The other day, I saw a Twitter argument about anime. It was probably fate, but that's not a big deal. But, like, the argument was getting pretty serious, and then just randomly in the middle of the argument, someone posts, okay, but can we bring attention to the fact that Miyazaki's food porn is on another level, completely unrelated to what they were talking about, and the argument ends with, you know what, yeah, you're right, that looks really good.
Yeah.
It's so
It's got the power
good.
to bring
And-
peace to the weebs.
And here, the thing is, right,
Nothing can bring
we
peace to the weeds
only
for
see...
a long period of time.
Okay.
We only see food like 2 or 3 times in this movie. Right?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, he never includes food too often in movies, but there's always like 2 or 3 or 4 scenes where something is just... This man has like food physics down, like food physics and aesthetics.
You guys ever seen a Quentin Tarantino movie?
No.
Not in recent memory, no.
Okay, so you know how food is presented in Miyazaki films?
Mm-hmm.
That is how Quentin Tarantino films feet in his films. I will fight you on this, by the way. He's got a foot thing, and he loves putting that on screen, and it gives me the same vibe every time I see Miyazaki with food on there. It's like that, like, I feel like Miyazaki wanted to be like a chef or something in his childhood, and he's like, I never got to create amazing food, but I can make movies with amazing food in it.
I don't know fully what you're talking about. But when you're talking about like a director very clearly having a foot thing and inserting that in where it maybe doesn't need to be, I'm getting like the Dan Schneider iCarly vibes from that. Have you seen
I don't
those?
know. I don't know what that
See,
is.
this is
I'm
what
not sure if I
separates
wanna
us here.
know.
He's old.
In his defense, Quentin Tarantino still does make movies.
True.
I haven't seen any of them.
This isn't a two-way. This is a two-way street.
Look, I'm hitting back the only way I can from down here.
Trust me, I have started numerous arguments with numerous people because I told them I fell asleep watching Reservoir Dogs because I was so bored, and I have had people literally yell at me and tell me I'm stupid
that one.
because I thought the movie was boring.
Anyway, what did you think about it? Let's get into a fight.
I don't remember it.
Anyway, food porn.
The food porn is good.
Yeah, so we get the big meal, like we get the eggs, like the
eggs on toast.
The eggs on toast, and then
the big meal with the
on the pirate ship.
Yeah, Nola's crew.
I don't know. We also got that scene where they're hanging out in Potsu's house, and she cracks open the lobster, and it's like oozing juices out of it. Yeah.
I also like that Potsu just had a lobster in there. Like, what kind of mining town?
I always thought that thing was like this big.
Yeah, I always thought they brought the food in with them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cheese also looked so good.
Part of me was just like defaulting that scene to be like The Hobbit when the dwarves raid Bilbo's kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. What? Do you guys remember the name of any of Adola's sons?
No.
I got nothing.
Louis, Charlie, and a couple others.
You can't look at the Wikipedia article. You gotta actually guess.
She's looking at the Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
Charles, Louis, Henry.
There's more than 3 of them.
Yeah, but the rest aren't named.
Congratulations. You looked on Wikipedia.
I got 2 of them on my own. Louis and Charles. I just did get Henry.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, when I was a kid, I thought that was hilarious, is that it's a pirate crew, but the captain is literally the mom of the group, and everyone on the crew is her kids.
It reminds me of the crime gang from DuckTales.
Which I don't
The mama robber and the 3 guys, and they get put in prison, and then
if she's allowed to make a reference to something that no one else is gonna get, I get to make one. Her husband, the guy that was below deck, the mechanic, reminds me of the Dr. Robotnik design from Sonic.
No,
yeah, I was gonna say the same
he's
thing.
The guy
he looks like Dr. Robotnik.
But his face looks like the Boiler Man from Spirited Away.
Well, yeah, it's the same face. It's the same mustache, even.
Also, what do you mean she's gonna make a reference no one understands? DuckTales was an entire generation's childhood.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. That was my dad's generation.
Fuck off!
I think you're pushing back even older than him with your references.
Fuck off!
I remember DuckTales being on when I was a kid. I don't think I watched it a lot, though.
It was always on. They always aired it on their cartoon blocks.
It was really weird. It was always like back to back with like DuckTales episodes. It was kind of like I can't remember which channel it was. This is back like antenna days. Yeah, that's old I am. Fuckers. Is like they would like there was one channel that like on Sundays they would just play a marathon of All Dogs Go to Heaven, the series, not the movie.
There was a series? I've only seen the movies.
Yeah, there was like a very bad TV series of All Dogs Go to Heaven. We're really getting off subject here. It's a fun conversation, but we're having trouble staying on subject. I don't know, what do you guys have a favorite character or favorite set of characters, anything like that?
Yes. I like Nola and I like Frying Pan Woman.
Nola?
Sorry. What's her name?
Dola.
That's it.
Dola.
And Frying Pan Woman.
Oh, the giant lady.
The giant lady who's the wife of the miner in the town and just comes out with the fucking frying pan.
And who has the best joke in the movie, arguably.
Yeah.
Guy flexes so hard he rips his shirt and just behind
I'm not mending that.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not fixing that.
And he's like, oh.
It's really funny. I watched that with my friend Emily, and she had never seen Castle in the Sky before. And when he ripped off, his shirt rips open, my friend just said offhandedly said, "I'm not fixing that." And I looked at her and said, "That's exactly what his wife said." Yeah. You were just talking over it so you couldn't hear it, and she just laughed her head off.
Oh yeah. What about you guys? Favorite character?
Favorite character. I honestly do like Sheeta a lot. I mean, she's the damsel in distress consistently, but I mean, she actively tries to get out of the situations she's in. whether it's physically or verbally, where she's like, there's that whole thing where Muska is telling her, it's like, oh yes, this crystal is like the key to all this. She's like, then just take it and leave me alone. I don't care. Which I think is like, it's one of those things where she's like, until like at a certain point, she's like, yeah, I don't want any part of this, so just leave me out of it. I don't care what you guys are planning. Like, even after it gets life-threatening, she's like, yeah, I just want to go home. Can you leave me alone? I find it's a much more believable damsel in distress kind of scenario, where she's not just sitting around waiting to be saved.
What about you, Catman?
No cats around right now.
They're right there.
They're under the
right
desk.
in front of us. You said her name, but I don't remember. The pirate lady?
Dola.
Dola. Yes.
Dola is a fun character, definitely. She's also missing a bunch of her teeth.
I don't care.
She also has clairvoyance, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a joke a couple times. It's just like, how did you know that? Did you read the script?
Yeah, but I guess that's our opinion on Castle in the Sky.
Yeah, no bad characters. There was no characters I could think of that are like, that character's dumb, why is this in the movie, or that's stupid, or etc. Like, no, there's no character in the movie that I can think of. It's
Cave Guy.
I like Cave Guy.
Oh,
Uncle Palm.
Oh, Uncle Palm.
Yeah, he was just kind of there.
He's an exposition character.
Yeah.
He's there for exposition.
Also, kind of unnecessary exposition. The fact that the crystal is made of Ethereum had no real bearing on any part of the movie.
It was
because we never discussed it past that.
Well, it was to tell us, the viewers, that the crystal necklace that she had could only have been made in Laputa.
Yeah, but you could have already guessed that. Like, you didn't need to be told that at all.
Like, it's clearly there for exposition.
Yeah. No, I get it. It just feels entirely unnecessary. But I like him, so.
He's a fun character.
Yeah.
Calling everybody goblins.
Yeah. A she-goblin.
She-goblin.
Okay, do you guys... It just registered in my brain what you just stated. And I think it still to this day made me laugh. The scene where the pirates are looking for Sheeta and they're like, oh, and it's like, oh, she's in disguise, go tell mom. And he's like, so she's in disguise, go tell mom. And just like immediately passing the puck to the other sibling, which is, if anybody's got siblings, you know what that's like, and it's pretty freaking hilarious.
Hold this.
Yeah, exactly. Just pass the puck kind of thing. And to this day, that joke still makes me laugh.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
But so that was characters, but like story-wise...
I mean, we talked about story at the beginning. It's simplistic, but it works really well.
Yeah, I guess that was more back in the production side of things, but I don't know. I like the few robots we see. Mm-hmm. Like, they have personality.
Yeah.
In a very subtle way. Like the robot in the military base. Mm-hmm. His whole thing, like, he has like a weird like gentleness to him. Mm-hmm. And the one in the actual city is, he's like got like
the caretaker.
Yeah, he's got like the moss and the plants growing on him. He's very like nature.
He's the last of them taking care of the city, and I suppose they're supposed to, their purpose, I assume, was to take care of the inhabitants of the city. Mm-hmm. But once the inhabitants were gone, who was left but the animals and each other and the city itself? So he's been for 700 years taking care of the animals and the city itself as best as he can, but there's been no one to make repairs or keep it going, so he's just had to kind of, like, he has that monument with the other, like, robots standing there growing into the ground. It's futility, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very aesthetically pleasing, all the overgrown architecture and things like that. Mm-hmm. Looks great, and gotta love Jim Cummings in anything he's in. I mean, Jim Cummings is just a treasure. If you look up Jim Cummings' IMDb page, he's been in much more than 1,000 productions, where he He's a voice actor. He's been in video games, movies. Funny enough, one of the fun Jim Cumming fact is when they were filming The Lion King and they had Scar's song "Be Prepared."
Yeah.
Is that Rutger Hauer or is it Jeremy Irons?
Jeremy Irons, I think.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons. He couldn't hit the high notes on the song, so they subbed in Jim Cummings to hit the high notes for him, but just the high notes, not the rest of the song. And so I find that really funny. And you're just singing "Be Prepared," aren't you?
Maybe that's why it wasn't in the remake, because they didn't remember that and they couldn't replicate it.
I never saw the remake. Didn't want to.
I didn't either.
Didn't want to.
Damn it! Now that's stuck in my head.
Be Prepared.
But we are talking kings and successions.
Speaking of Nazi symbolism,
yeah, there's a lot of it with the general.
Not just the general
and the looting.
The looting of the gold and the.
I'm pretty sure they're literally wearing a Nazi sign on there.
Well,
yeah.
no, okay.
I think that the general is wearing an Iron Cross.
They're wearing the Iron Cross. The Iron Cross is a symbol that existed long before the Nazis co-opted it, and they did co-opt it, but it existed before that.
Yeah, but also the soldiers are clearly, not clearly. I'm not going to say clearly. I'm not going to say clearly. I'm going to say that they.
Inspired by.
Yeah, they're the helmets they're wearing look very similar to German World War I military helmets. Mm-hmm. They've even got some of them even have the spike on the top of the helmet.
Yeah, it's pretty. At least to me, it was pretty obvious that it was kind of an allegory for the fact that Hitler basically sent divisions of Nazi soldiers to loot ancient places and ancient civilizations and caches of artifacts and stuff in search of both A, some sort of like biblical weapon, and B, just wealth and power and the ability to control history and define his own narrative. And a lot of those treasures have never been recovered, like the Amber Room from Russia. It's never been recovered.
Yeah, it's Japan seems to really enjoy, Miyazaki too seems to really enjoy using World War II as like allegorical actions, not so much like themes, etc. Probably using the wrong words here. It's been a long day.
Well, you have to consider, so Miyazaki was born in 1941.
Yeah.
So I mean, he grew up with the immediate after effects of World War II. You know, and that leaves a mark.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, America still does it too.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah. So I mean, it's not
of the world still do
surprising,
it.
but it is interesting.
Gotta say, mad respect to the train conductor who on a dime went from, "Oh yay, the military is here to save you," to, "Oh, hitting a button to put steam in your face so you can get away."
Yeah, just immediate heel turn on the military. The guys, I don't know. I kind of like the aesthetic. I
like those rail tanks.
I like the aesthetic of the mining town. That it's basically just a shanty town that is just encompassed this entire like area. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah. No, it's a really fun movie. It's a fun watch.
Yeah, there's also those little details that like Miyazaki really likes to put in to his movies. Like you already talked about it, like in the very beginning when Sheeta falls off the airship and she float like her crystal makes her float down, and then when Patsu catches her, she's just kind of floating in his arms, and then when the weight hits him he almost falls over because the sudden just weight that hits him. Or like later on in the movie there's things like, people are like, like scratching their nose or something like that, or they're like fixing their hat. Just little detail that Miyazaki puts in. Like I remember specifically in Spirited Away the scene where the main character is putting on her shoes, like how she like kicks the toes down to make sure her foot's in all the way. Yeah. Just there's little things like that Miyazaki is known for doing in his films that just kind of add a little bit of realism kind of thing.
Yeah. I think altogether it makes for a wonderful watching experience for people of all ages, because if you're a child, you're going to get like childish wonderment and joy from a lot of parts of this, and the fantastical elements are going to be amazing. And if you're an adult, there is literally endless meaning that you can derive from this movie.
Yeah.
Because it has enough adult themes to satisfy a more adult audience, but it's still fantastical and beautiful enough to satisfy children.
Yeah. Also, if you want to see, like, you know, an entire city falling out of the sky, I mean, there's got things like that. Do you guys actually have a like, when someone says, okay, a city gets destroyed, what is your first, like, thought as to how, like first thought that jumps to mind is, like, in media?
So yeah, city getting destroyed in media. Not a good one, but my first thought is the utter and pointless destruction from Man of Steel.
Oh, God.
That is not my first thought. My first thought is Atlantis. The Lost... Well, I guess because that's one of the earliest movies I remember in which a whole city was destroyed. Not once, but twice.
That's true. Because I think of the anime remake of Metropolis. Did you guys ever see that?
No.
So at the end, the basically the city that the Metropolis is a city built on top of a city built on top of a city. It's like 3 layers, and like I think the first 2 at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, the first 2 layers start to collapse in on itself because the source that is basically keeping the energy that's keeping everything running is basically overloading. Mm-hmm. And it's really amazing because you have these visuals of entire skyscrapers like collapsing in on themselves and falling over. Playing over it is the Ray Charles song "I Can't Stop Loving You."
Huh.
It's actually really amazing looking, and it's one of those things. It's like I saw it as a kid and it's stood out in my mind ever since. Mm-hmm. Like I would recommend you guys check that out as the Metropolis. The anime Metropolis remake, which is based off of the novel way back when, and also the silent film, which I did see. It's a hard watch.
What about you, Nick Nack?
You said Man of Steel.
Oh, you said Man of Steel.
Yeah, Man of Steel.
That's so...
City being destroyed. That it gets pretty
because
straightforward.
It's so gratuitous.
Yeah. I've never seen Man of Steel.
The city destruction part of Man of Steel is so gratuitous and over the top. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you're Superman. You probably could have just kept this in with, like, a couple of blocks, but he destroys, like, half the city.
Like, this isn't one building.
Yeah, it's like...
This is most of what effectively is New York.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like, pretty much, like, you know, like, millions of people are dead, dude.
Bum, 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 bum.
It's Christopher Reeves.
Yeah. I've not seen that movie.
Man of Steel or the original Superman?
I missed it in my Man of Steel in my original in my recent rewatch of the DCU. I missed it on accident. Because I thought to myself, oh, there's no Superman movie before Superman versus Batman because there's no movie named Superman with Henry Cavill in it.
It's called Man of Steel, though.
I want to say, I think Henry Cavill's a good Superman, but man...
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Ben Affleck being Batman, is that they're limited by the movie they're in, not so much their acting.
Because they could play those characters, but in the context that they've been put in, it's hard.
Yes, exactly. That's how I feel about that.
But we are very far off topic now.
Yes.
Again.
Well, Batman... had an amazing animated series that came out in 1992. And Wait. Yes, had an amazing animated series that came out in 1992 with Batman being voiced by Kevin Conroy and Joker being voiced by Mark Hamill.
It all comes full circle.
There you go. Back on track now.
You're only a language change and 6 years off topic.
No, we're not. We watched the English dub of Laputa.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Mark Hamill. And I mentioned before is that this is Mark Hamill post Star Wars and pre Batman. So this is that middle area where he was trying.
When did he do Batman?
I just said 1992. Batman the animated series.
He was post Batman.
No.
The English dub by Disney is post Batman. 1998, 2003, 2 releases. of the English dub of Laputa.
Okay, when I looked it up, it said that Laputa came out in 1986.
The movie came out in 1986. The original British translation came out in the early 90s, but the Mark Hamill Disney translation did not come out till 1998 and then 2003 when it was re-released.
See, I don't remember being that old when I watched it for the first time.
I'm just saying, like, 1989 was the Japanese one, 1998, 2003 was the Mark Hamill one.
She's right.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm being pedantic because we were off topic.
And I was trying to get us back on topic, and then you totally sandbagged me. Those cats are pretty damn cute.
I'd show you them, but I'm not moving the camera.
Did I ever tell you that thing my roommate's cat does, where she will sleep with her face in the ground?
Yeah.
Like, she's not, like, she doesn't have, like, her chin resting or something. No, she's, like, full face in the ground. I don't know why she does that. It's bizarre.
Cats, man. Cats. They are slinkies.
Oh, what was it? Who's the creator of Calvin and Hobbes? You guys know?
I don't read Calvin Hobbes.
You're missing out. Calvin Hobbes is really good. But anyway,
Okay, boomer.
that came so far out of left field, I don't even know what to say.
It's his favorite insult.
No.
Really? Say it to
I don't
all the
say
time.
it all. No, they say it to me all the time.
I got nothing.
Sorry, I just had to drop that on you. I apologize.
Yeah, like I said, like, I'm not offended. I'm just like, that just came so far out of left field. I didn't know there was such, like, vitriol against Calvin and Hobbes over here. Wow.
Yeah, I respect Calvin and Hobbes.
You just said you didn't read it.
I read a few comics. I read them in philosophy class. They actually use some comics as examples.
Which makes sense. That is a running theme with Calvin and Hobbes.
Directly named after the philosophers.
They were, and whenever Calvin and Hobbes are in their red wagon, they specifically talk about the philosophy of life, existence, and even the afterlife at times.
We are at 44 minutes and we've been talking about Calvin and Hobbes for the last 3.
Yeah, whose fault is that?
Not mine!
Well, no one else is trying to get the conversation back on subject, so...
I'm still mentally at Mark Hamill. Like, did you see what happened to his face that led to him having to voice act? There's a reason he didn't go back into full-on acting.
See, I heard about that. I never actually, I heard that he had to have plastic surgery because he was in a really bad accident, but, like, I guess I just never realized.
If you want to see it at its worst, you gotta watch the Star Wars Holiday Special where they...
Oh, no.
You look at his face there, it's almost like an uncanny valley bad CGI.
Oh, if you ever want to see Harrison Ford look like he wants to shoot himself in the face, look up I think it's Conan O'Brien, and they're asking him about the Star Wars holiday special, and Harrison Ford looks like he wants to jump out a window. He looks so... They're like, hey, do you remember doing this? And he's like, no, that doesn't exist. He's all shifty-eyed.
I think Carrie Fisher didn't even remember doing it.
Dude, she was on so much coke back then. Someone pointed that out to me recently. It's like, oh yeah, did you ever see Carrie Fisher's coke nails in the original Star Wars movies? I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, she had big ass fucking coke nails. Did you ever hear the story where she, like, pissed off the director of the new Star Wars movies because they wanted her to make sure she stayed healthy while they were filming it, and she was always drinking fucking soda, and they're like, no, you can't drink soda, we gotta make sure you stay healthy. And she paid out of her own pocket to hire an assistant to make sure she always had, like, a can of Coke. So, like, the director would take the Coke out of her hand and throw it away, and by the time he got back, she would have another Coke. That's amazing. I love shit like that. It's so good.
Respect.
That's a Seki move right there.
That's really a Seki move right there.
Taking the Coke out of somebody's hand or just doing it to spite someone?
Paying someone to always have a soda on hand. Specifically.
Do you think what do you think Miyazaki does with his free time?
Complain about his son's works?
Yeah.
Boom.
Promise that he's gonna retire and then immediately start working on something new.
Yeah.
Pick up trash while ignoring reporters because they annoy him.
Complain about every animator that's not him.
Did you ever see that meme of it's Miyazaki saying he hates the Beatles, and it's like some beautiful landscape painting that he helped make, and then the next one is Junji Ito saying he loves the Beatles, and it's one of his like nightmare monstrosities.
No,
I always thought that was
seen
hilarious. I always thought that was hilarious because I had an ex-roommate who hates the Beatles, and it always makes me think of that because I love the Beatles. Uzumaki is supposed to be coming out next year. Really looking forward to that. That has nothing to do with Miyazaki. That has to do with Junji Ito.
I think we've hit the logical conclusion of this
We
conversation.
hit the logical
The Beatles.
conclusion 17 minutes ago!
No
I don't know, I
one's
think the
stopping
Beatles-
this recording, though.
I think the Beatles is a pretty good
I
place to end
tried
this.
3 times to wrap up the video, and every single time you came up with something new to say.
You could have just said we're ending it now.
I didn't want to be rude.
So you just decided to be rude in other ways.
I was not meant to be. You put that thing on my head and I will elbow you in the fucking stomach.
Just one big happy family. Do we have another segment after this, or is this...
No, this is it.
Okay.
That said, we could easily split this into 2.
Fam, try harder, everyone.